What's up, guys? Today is a different kind of video. I am having an interesting conversation with my sister on marriage, dating, and relationships. It was kind of impromptu, but stay tuned for this first edition of Wine and Conversations, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright guys, before we get too into it, I promise you're gonna love this video and you guys are gonna have a lot to say. I'm sipping with my sister, and in this video I am sipping McBride Sisters Sparkling Brut Rosé. This is a rosé that they make in Hawke's Bay out in New Zealand, and it's very delicious. On the nose, I'm getting grapefruit. It's kind of floral on the nose too. And on my palate, I'm getting peachy. It's less grapefruit, more peachy. Definitely a little citrusy, but it's absolutely delicious. This is one of the wines from the grocery store haul video, and I encourage you to pick it up. You're gonna love it, and it's gonna go great with some French fries, if we're being honest. So keep watching this video to hear more of Wine Conversations.
Let's talk about it. Camera's rolling.
Okay. Alright. That Netflix movie about the guy where he kidnaps the girl and like forces her into a lifestyle. It's like one of those like weird horror fantasies. Cause like if you were gonna get kidnapped, you want your kidnapper to be that fine. But he's so creepy.
Very 50 Shades gone
wrong.
Gone worse.
It was
because 50 Shades was also very manipulating, abusive, sexual assaulty. If you really want to talk about the film.
So the film, I think, made 50 Shades much worse than it actually was. So I read all of the books long before there was talk of a movie. Mm-hmm. And in the book, Christian is a young troubled millionaire, but he never does anything to hurt her. And in the book, they don't even have sex until you're like 100 some plus pages in, because he's very much like, I don't want to ruin you, because he knows that he's got like these fetishes. Okay, maybe that is his girlfriend. Side note, YouTube fam, I've been spying on my neighbors, and I think he got a girlfriend.
She's got a bad dye job.
Really bad dye job. But that's common around here. I don't think we have many good colorists in this area, hence why I usually do my own as I do it. But anyway, I digress. Christian was not like that in the book. The book was way better than the film. In the book, Christian is like, he's troubled, he's got these, sex fetishes, and he doesn't want to ruin her because he realizes that she's a virgin. And so actually the first time they have sex, she's like, I love you, whatever, and I want to beat it for you, and blah, blah, blah. And so it's very much like more, and he eases her into it. Like in the movie, it's like they have sex, they've got this, and she's like, I want to stop having vanilla sex. And then that's the one time that they do it, and it's like, that's when it escalates hella quick for her, and she's just like, no, this was too much. So it's not as bad. The film made it creepy.
So, would you say that the book, he's still equally as manipulative?
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Because I feel like men in America, in not even just in America, because you look at all the things that are allowed around the world, I think that we raise our boys and teach them manipulation, and we teach our girls submission. Society has taught women that this is okay. I think most men are manipulative.
So yes,
I think you'd be hard pressed to find a man who, unless he's gone to therapy and done some work on himself, does not have manipulative characteristics. Most men do. And I would venture to debate that, especially when you think about, I can only talk about black culture because I'm black, and American culture because I'm American. But in black culture, you hear a lot of black guys say stuff like, oh, well, she's trying to force me into a ring, or force me into proposing, or force me into whatever. And a lot of times it's like, so I'm forcing you, but it's not the opposite. You forcing me into the lifestyle you prefer, which is, I don't want to get married. I want to date you forever. I want to do what I want. You're forcing a lifestyle on the woman, but it's supposed to be okay for us and not okay for them. Manipulation is something that we have allowed men to do for years. And so I think manipulation, like Christian and like that guy from the Netflix movie and stuff like that, I think that it allows women to romanticize something that we're already used to. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't look as pretty, and as, you know, there's not as happy of an ending or whatever in real life as it is in the movies a lot of times. And so we romanticize those films and we ignore the manipulation in those films because those guys are really sweet and really rich and they're doing things for the woman that make her feel good. And, you know, even if he is manipulative, at least he's a billionaire and all of this stuff. And I think that's stuff that we put in the back of our minds because we go through so much trauma as women in dating. Let's not even talk about dating trauma. Like, you know, we go through so much trauma in life though, that I think stuff like that, you just kind of, I never thought of Christian as being manipulative, but I feel like if we're going to talk about it, you have to talk about the fact that most men are manipulative around the world. We raise our boys that way. And so I don't think of Christian as manipulative. That's not a word that comes to mind because most men are. It's kind of an accepted, like, okay, well. But I think there are some men out there who've done the work and they know how to show up and be emotionally intelligent and be able to build a relationship with someone that's not solely based on their needs.
Good luck with that.
Cheers to those men. It takes work.
Follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that a woman saying she doesn't want to date forever, she wants to get married, would you consider that manipulation?
No. I think any human being who says this is what I want, you can make a decision whether or not you want to be here for it. Because I'm not manipulating you. That's open. See, a lot of guys, that's being open. And I'm going to tell you a scenario of how that is. Guy and a girl go on a date. Woman is like, hey, I really am looking to get married. This is what I want for my life, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, well, I want that too. One day. And they date for, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And he knows what she wants. He said that that's what he wants. But he never makes a move to get there. She's already expressed how she feels. So now she's just waiting until he gets around to what it is that she said she wanted. And guys will dangle a carrot in front of you. Take you to nice candlelight dinners. Take you on trips. Do a lot of things other than do that to keep you happy so that you don't remind them of what it is you said you wanted. That's manipulative. See, I was upfront. I was clear about what I wanted. You agreed, but you were not clear. Because had you been clear, you would have said, I would like that too. But it's not something I'm looking to get into anytime soon. There's a difference.
So, the woman didn't say that either. She just said she wanted to get married.
She said she wanted to get married. And that's what she's looking for. And a lot of times if you discuss a timeline, let's say the woman is like, oh, okay, so what are we, what's a good time? A lot of times when you're having that conversation, they go, what's a good time to do that? Blah, 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 blah. What's a good time to whatever. And a lot of times women will give their ideal timeline. I'm somebody who always did. I feel like dating anything longer than 2 years is a waste of time. In the first few seconds of meeting someone, if this is somebody you could spend your life with. Just in conversation. We do it with our friends. You can't tell me that you don't do that in a relationship. You know that in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship with this person. I like the vibe. I like what they're bringing to the table. It don't take that long. And by seconds, I'm saying seconds loosely, not actual seconds. Let's say I give you 2 to 3 weeks. You know early. You can catch the red flags. You can catch the issues that are going to matter. You can catch what you want to deal with. It's the same thing with friends. When you meet somebody and that chemistry is there and you click and you're like, oh my God, we're going to be friends like forever. And you build a relationship and you're friends forever. I don't like that we treat dating relationships differently. That doesn't make any sense to me. So a lot of times when you're having that discussion, you're talking timelines and you're saying, this is my timeline. Like I said, for me, it was always 2 years. If you after 2 years, that gives us time to get to know each other's families, spend time together, maybe take some trips, maybe do whatever. It gives you time to like slowly get into it. If I'm being honest, I don't think it takes that long. But I am willing to give it 2 years. Anything longer than 2 years, I cut it off.
That's 2 years is really quick.
Really
to me.
quick?
To get married?
Uh-huh.
That's quick to me.
Your parents got married within 6 months.
I ain't got nothing to do with them. I don't know what they was thinking about. I mean, bless them, they still
2
here.
years,
but...
and I'm going to tell you, 2 years is not quick. We decide everything else in life in a millisecond. But when it comes to choosing partners, a lot of times we don't leap out of fear, trauma, past mistakes, issues.
Well, see,
a lot of times we let a lot of other things get in the way of making that decision. Because if you decided and you don't like it, you can change your mind. You're allowed to change your mind.
partnership and getting married is different to me. Because marriage is a
I feel like you should be on the couch with a glass and we should be talking about this. I feel like should she get a glass? She should get a glass. Partnership and marriage, 2 different things.
Partnership and marriage is 2 different things to me.
Yes and no. Tell me why.
Because partnership is the relationship. Marriage is the business. You can be my partner. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You're amazing. I would have kids with you.
You'd have kids with somebody before you marry them?
I'm just elaborating on what I mean.
Because that is a fucking commitment unlike any other.
I don't think that's a wise decision. I'm just elaborating on what I mean.
I would get married to somebody if I had questions before I would have kids with them.
I would too, because if you're willing to have children with someone, then
you're committed. You might as well get married. They're not going anywhere.
It's financial. Kids are a business.
They have kids are a business. Marriage is. That's why they make prenups.
This is why I think 2 years is just really soon to commit financially and be I just think of it as a business. Like you really have to have your shit together, and I really need to have my shit together for me to actually marry somebody.
Okay, so let's say you wanted to do a podcast with your best friend at one point. Did you think long term about that? Would 2 years be too soon to commit to a podcast with someone? Because you guys do a podcast and it takes off and it's a big ass hit, and then you realize you don't like being in business with this person, and you wouldn't know until you did it.
I don't think my best friend would be a good example because I already know what I would be getting into.
But business with
like
somebody.
Certain things that
but that's what you're saying, though. Business with somebody and partnership with somebody.
It's certain things I wouldn't do with my best friend because I know long term that's not a good business decision.
So you would have to be 100% confident in your partnership to move forward and make that business decision.
I need to be confident in us as individuals, and we both need to have our shit together before we combine our.
So you don't think you could do that in 2 years?
It depends on where I meet them at. It depends on where we meet each other at.
Very true. So that means it can't happen in 2 years. What you're really saying is you wouldn't do it in 2 years unless you met somebody who was ready. The time.
And if I'm ready.
Exactly. The time is not the issue. It's a matter of whether or not you're both ready. And that goes back to my point.
But that's not partnership. That's still business.
I don't look at marriage as a business. I look at it as an opportunity to have a companion and a partner for a lifetime, and you're just literally including everything into the mix.
But you can do that without getting married.
You can, but if you're gonna act like you're married, why not?
What makes marriage so important? What is marriage? Where did that even come from? Like, why do you have to get married to spend your life with somebody?
You don't have to.
Why is it so important to you?
So, two things. I have to say marriage is important to me because I have a great one. Because I am...
Before you're married.
Before my marriage.
Fair.
No, it's not fair because I do have a great marriage. Okay, so, but if I'm being honest, before my marriage, marriage was not that important to me.
Why wasn't it important to you?
It wasn't important to me because I had a really bad one. And it really made me think about how I wanted my life to play out. And I didn't think I would find someone like my husband. I didn't think that I would find somebody that was as perfect of a fit for me as he is. And so for me, before I got married, I definitely felt like I would end up like Oprah. I didn't think that I was going to get married again. I thought that I was going to be like Oprah. I'd be wealthy, I'd have a lot of businesses, I'd have a beautiful home, I would travel with my friends, Courtney's my Gail, like I'd have my Gail, like, you know, I thought that that would be my life, and then I'd end up with a stedman at some point. I wouldn't marry after I was wealthy. I always knew that. I would never get married after I had already become wealthy as a woman, because men rake you through the coals. I've yet to see a couple separate and the woman is the one with the money and the man doesn't rake her through the coals. Yet to see it. Name one. Hard pressed. So I feel like that was my perspective. Marriage became important to me when I met Emil because it reminded me of the things I valued prior to my divorce. And that was, I did at one point really value marriage. I did at one point really want marriage. I did at one point want to be with someone and spend my life with them. And meeting Emil made me believe in love again. It made me believe in partnership again. It made me truly believe like there's no such thing as, Emil gave me my fairy tale. My love story is my fairy tale. And I didn't know that it was happening when it was happening. I didn't know it was coming when it came, but it was beautiful when it happened. And it definitely, I see both sides of the coin.
Why was marriage important to you before?
Before the first one, it was important because I thought that, or I say I've always felt that, and I feel now that it's a blessing to have. I think that it is something that people don't treat with enough value. I see it as a blessing and an opportunity to grow with somebody. Not everyone is blessed to do that. I could grow alone, sure. I'm a strong enough person, not woman, but person, to be able to do that. But to have the opportunity to do it with somebody and have somebody who has enough grace for me in their heart that we can grow through together, it is a really great experience to be able to do life with him, not just grow with him, but also do life with him. So, you know, just discovering everything. There's so much, you know, him and I were talking a couple weeks ago. There's so much that I want to do, and there's so much that we want to do. And the idea that when this pandemic is over, whenever the hell that happens, that him and I are going to get to explore the world together and do new things together. Like, before the pandemic, I had started looking up like fun date nights for us to do. Like, I'd love to do some cooking classes together and stuff like that. Like, just stuff we've never done together. That exploration is fun. It's really fun. And there's stuff that I can't do with him that I do with you. I'm so happy that you're back here in the area. There's stuff that we can do together. That exploration and getting to do life together with someone is fun. But now I have a partner that I could do it with, in addition to a sister and a best friend. It's just a blessing.
Not a best friend talk going on. I'm jealous.
My best friend lives 5 hours away and yours lives an hour and a half away. So I'm jealous.
I don't say that.
I think when it comes down to it, with marriage and love and partnership, that a lot of times we have these stipulations, and I think it's important to have your boundaries. But a lot of times we don't get what we want because we settle. And I think that's a conversation that we're not having enough with our girls and with women. I think that 2 years would never feel like too long. It would almost feel too short. I think it would almost feel too long if you met the right person that was exactly where they needed to be in order to be an addition and a blessing to your life. It would not even feel, you wouldn't even think about it. That person would be like, yo, like I want to do this. And you would be like, yo, me too. Like, I want to get married. Me too. And it would be so in sync. The time, you wouldn't even think about the time.
I mean, it's different if everything's right.
Exactly.
But if everything's not right yet.
If everything's not right, then your options should still be open. We're not ready to have that conversation either.
When you say options still open, you mean just not committing to that person and being in a relationship? Because
if everything's not right, why are you in a relationship?
I say right yet.
If everything's not right yet, why are you in a relationship? And by
so
right
are you
yet,
expecting a person to come to you in perfect form?
It has nothing to do with perfection. It has everything to do with where you need them to be so that you guys can be good together.
You guys might be on a good level. It's just not where you would like it to be for you to get married. You don't meet everybody at their best.
That's true.
Like, I have student loan debt. If I meet somebody...
Me too. That didn't stop me from getting married.
But if that's somebody's, like, I want to be with somebody that doesn't have any debt or anything, and they just, because I have student loan debt, it's like, nah, I'm going to keep my options open.
I think those kind of things aren't good stipulations to have on a relationship or a marriage, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because life happens and you never know. You could get that student loan debt cleared out in 6 months and they're like, oh my God, all right, we're perfect, we're ready to get married. Then you guys get married and they get in a terrible car accident, rack up $250,000 in medical debt in 6 months or less. Doesn't take long. I was in the hospital for a month and had $65,000 in medical debt. So within 6 months, $250,000. Then they were healed, perfectly back to health, and guess what? Now they got $250,000 in debt. Does that mean you get to walk away from them? That's something they would have to figure out. But that's why those kind of stipulations, some things in life you cannot plan for. You just can't. Some stipulations cannot be hard stipulations because you don't know what can happen. That's just like people who are like, oh, I want to be with a man with a lot of money and da-da-da-da. Then they married a man and his company goes bankrupt. And he got it by chance anyway, so he didn't know how to replicate it. Now y'all broke.
Let me put a pin in it. Mm-hmm. So let's say somebody's like, I want to marry a man with money. Mm-hmm. They meet a man, or whatever. I want to marry somebody with money. They meet somebody, and they don't have the money yet, but they're working towards it. Should they still have their options open just because they don't have the money?
That goes, now see, I feel like you can't have that conversation without knowing if that person is right for you.
I'm just basing this all off of...
You have to be open.
I'm just basing this off of just the blanket statement of you should have your options open.
I think that you should have your options open if things are not right and that person is not, if you're settling. You should always have your options open if you feel like you're settling. Then it doesn't matter what the stipulations are, you have one. If you for a second ever feel like, I guess I'll just deal with this, or this isn't something I usually do, or if you're settling, your options should be open. I wouldn't have gotten married again if I felt like I was settling. I have not once felt like I've settled when we were dating or when we're married. I wouldn't have married him. Now the guy I was dating before, sorry if this hurts his feelings and he ever sees it, but I was settling and I knew that. That's why my options were open. I don't just say this stuff, I lived it. So I think it's a lot that goes into dating, but I think not settling and being open-minded are the two things we don't teach that we should when it comes to dating. Because having hard and fast rules is one thing, but when it comes to settling, you're settling if you know you want to marry somebody who's open to your entrepreneurship journey, and then you marry someone who's very rigid about you not quitting your job and exploring the world. You're settling. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation with me and my sister. If you guys want to see more combos with me and Ree, let me know in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. How long is too long for dating? Have you ever settled? And what do you think it takes to make a partnership work towards marriage? Cheers.